G'day, battlers, and today we are jumping in for a Polkadot Cup tournament run at the hands of OttoSaha, an Australian legend, one of the top-ranked battlers on the Silph Arena leaderboards in the Australian scene, who's come in and done a little bit of a good job in our Polkadot Cup practice tournament just recently done. Now, OttoSaha has graciously given us some sort of insights into how he's put his team together. So essentially, the first part of this video is going to be going through his team, how he built it, and what he sort of thinks the strengths are. And then we're going to be jumping in for the battles. So if you just want to skip straight to the battles, the timestamps or the progress bar is going to have all of the timestamps down below, so you can go straight there if you'd like to. But with no further ado, we'll jump into the team. So Otto's team is down there in the bottom right-hand corner. So it's got the Chargebug, Araquanid, Girafarig, Blaziken, Normal Castform, and Nidoking. I will note that almost all of the CP values in this video are not actual ones. When it's a practice tournament, it doesn't really matter as much because it's not a ranked thing. So yeah, it doesn't really matter. But Otto's gone for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whereas his first opponent has gone for some sort of funny number. Now, I've got a little bit of a summary on how Otto sort of put his team together. So first off, in general, how to team build, and then diving in a bit more specifically into sort of how he selected the Pokemon, what their roles were, and how he put his team together in this meta. So for in general, Otto said as he starts off, he said watching my YouTube videos, but I think sort of just looking towards any sort of content that's out there at all, get a basic idea. You know, like other people have sort of done a little bit of work for you. See what they sort of see in the meta so that you're not going in blind. You've got sort of a very early basic look. You've got an idea about how it's all going to go. Then he actually sort of sets up a little bit of a meta simplified infographic of his own, looking at how the typings sort of relate to each other, seeing what sort of types might be really good. In this meta, he sort of realized that Rock was a really strong typing in the meta, doing a neutral damage to pretty much everything, and also super effective to a couple here or there. Then he sort of goes on to play PV Poke, looks at the rankings, plays around with takes a look at what Pokemon might have access to that special rock damage, for example, and then jump into the PV Poke team builder and sort of jump back and forth between the team builder and the rankings, as is sort of a little bit standard for those who like to build that way. Now, jumping in specifically, starting off with that rock typing, he started off with normal Castform. Normal Castform has got a fair amount of bulk, while also having access to that really spammy, not only Rock Weather Ball, but also Normal Weather Ball. Normal Weather Ball obviously gets Stab, so as a neutral move, it's a little bit better, but the Rock Weather Ball gives you that access to the rock damage for the super effective against things like the bug types. Normal Castform also, he said, has the benefit of only being weak to counter or fighting damage, which there isn't a lot of in this meta, which is actually why he's then brought his second pick, which is a counter to Castform, being the Blaziken. Now, Blaziken has access to that counter. It's got a fairly diverse moveset as well. You've got Blaze Kick, Blast Burn, Stone Edge. It does have access to Brave Bird. I'm not sure if there's too much reason to run Brave Bird in this meta because, I mean, Blast Burn alone is already going to be doing so much neutral damage to pretty much everything that you can probably ignore Brave Bird. In this tournament, he's decided to run Blast Burn, Stone Edge, but of course you can go Blaze Kick for that slightly sort of spammier action. But in addition to doing that counter damage to Castform, you've also got that super effective damage for the bug types like Chargebug. So really giving you a little bit more extra coverage there. And we'll see how Blaziken sort of does in this video. Now, he's also brought in Girafarig, who said he was a little bit of a fun pick. Initially, he did a practice tournament using Double Kick on Girafarig. Now, Girafarig has got basically 3 options: Double Kick, Confusion, and I think it's Tackle. So you can sort of use it in slightly different ways. So we tried it with Double Kick, wasn't really sort of won over, so then decided to go for Confusion Girafarig for this tournament, which is probably my personal preference just because there are a lot of fighters running around like Blaziken. We can actually see on the opponent's team here, they've got Beware as well, Chestnut, a lot of things that are going to be weak to that Confusion damage as well as the poison types. So that's sort of how I sort of see things, but obviously it's also got access to Psychic Fangs as a charge move, which gives you relatively quick psychic damage, and so Otto's running Psychic Fangs and then also Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt giving you really nice coverage for things like the Samurott, the water types, as well as the flies that might be running around as well. Now, filling out the rest of his team, so that's 3 with the Castform, the Blaziken, and the Girafarig. He's sort of just filled it up with things to sort of, I guess, bodyguard those first 3 picks. So he's brought in Araquanid, who brings a little bit of bulk to the team, which can be, I think in my last video, or my last Polkadot Cup video, where I did some battles against Matt Brewer, it really showed very clearly that bulk is really important to sort of pack onto your team wherever you can. because if you're a bit too squishy, you can really be at a disadvantage. So getting some bulk in there is really good. Also giving that sort of debuff opportunity with the bubble beam, while also having that bug buzz as well. It's also bringing the charger bug, even more bulk, relatively neutral pick, sort of just not having a lot of big wins and big losses, just sort of being a little bit of soft wins, soft losses, which can really give you a lot of versatility, especially when you've got a little bit of like more skilled battlers are able to sort of maneuver a little bit more with these more neutral picks, because they can sort of win out of matchups that people that aren't as good might not be able to sort of get themselves out of. He's also finished off his team with Nidoking, who also has a debuff move in Sand Tomb. He's got a couple of moveset options. Otto's decided to run Sand Tomb and Megahorn, but you can also run Earth Power in there for a double nuke moveset. But he said he sort of brought that as a bit of a fairy counter, which is obviously fairy would be pretty good up against the Blaziken with the fighting type. So again, it's all sort of just bodyguarding back. But that's sort of Otto's sort of team breakdown, how he sort of put his team together. There's a lot of debuff Pokemon, and also a fair bit of bulk sort of running around as well to protect the sort of squishier Pokemon in the Blaziken and also the Nidoking. But with that said, let's jump in and take a look at the opponent's first team. Zero Just a Casual, who's running the Nidoking, Galvantula, Blaziken, Samurott, Beware, and Chestnut. And straight away, I mean, I sort of already like noticed it in that talking about Otto's team, but there is a big weakness to Confusion Girafarig here. Nidoking, super effective. Galvantula takes a lot of damage because it's squishy. Blaziken, super effective. Samurott, doesn't love it. Beware, super effective. Chestnut, super effective. Samurott is the only sort of real counter to the Girafarig, which sort of forces Zero Just a Casual to sort of need to bring it. Otherwise, I mean, I guess at this point, going to the first game, Zero Just a Casual does not know the moveset. So if it is a double kick Girafarig, Zero Just a Casual actually has a little bit of a better time against it. So I guess that's sort of one of the other calculations you're going to have to make. You don't have to just prepare for the cookie cutter Confusion Girafarig. You have to sort of think like all of the different iterations of that Pokemon that you could be facing, that could appear. And I think that's sort of one of the big things about teams having that moveset versatility. Obviously, you can't change the movesets once you're in the tournament. It's not like Silph factions, but it can sort of make it so that your opponent doesn't only have to prepare for 6 Pokemon, they have to prepare for 8. I mean, maybe Blaziken's got some different movesets. Maybe Nidoking's got some different movesets. So you have to they've got to use more thinking power to be fully prepared. But with all of that preamble said, welcome in people who skipped to the timestamp, and let's jump in for the first battle of the video up against Zero Just a Casual and see how Otto does. So I've got the Girafarig straight up in a really nice lead up against the Chestnut, doing some massive damage with the Confusions. You do have to shield up here unless you... I think it's the Frenzy Plants plus the Vine Whips do KO the Girafarig, so you sort of have to burn the shield, but are then able to farm all the way down and have a ton of energy to go into that next matchup. And actually bringing out the Nidoking, which is making me think that Zero Just a Casual might have either Beware or Blaziken in the back. Huge Psychic Fangs, defense debuff, has to go for another Psychic Fangs to deny Nidoking the ability to get another charge move off, and it is Blaziken in the back. Oh, Zero Just a Casual, the worst possible team to have run. Literally, Beware would have been superior to bringing in one of these other picks as well, but that is really unfortunate, and really, Otto is just set to just destroy here. It does shield up a Blaze Kick, which, Blaze Kick really spammy, but, Nidoking just able to take all the way down there. So bringing in the Girafarig counter now in the Samurott, and so Girafarig not in a lovely spot here, so getting one Confusion, swapping out into Charger Bug. Otto presumably using that Charger Bug as sort of that neutral safe swap. Again, soft wins, soft losses, but lands the discharge onto Blaziken. And even though you're in sort of a losing matchup, you are resisting counter, you're still able to do so much damage with that discharge. Now, shooting up the Blaze Kick, because I think the Blaze Kick, I mean, you can tank one, but it does do a lot of damage, and it sort of puts the ball in their court. So if they shielded up that charge move, which they did, they're then able to get to another charge move and sort of take you out. But it looks like Otto, happy to sort of let the Charger Bug go, doesn't want to go down both shields, and then brings in the Girafarig, gets that little bit of extra energy, because now the Samurott is presumably going to come back in, and you sort of have to think, do you go for the Psychic Fangs and then try and Confusion down? Do you go up for the Thunderbolt? He's decided to go straight for the Psychic Fangs debuff and swapping into Nidoking to catch the move. Nidoking is not very bulky. This is not going to... one hit KO, Nidoking out of there. Now Giraffe Rig is going to have to burn another shield and hope that whatever's in the back is also weak to confusion. Maybe it's the Chestnut, although actually even the Chestnut I think is going to be able to get to a Frenzy Plant before Giraffe Rig can get to a second Psychic Fangs. It needs one more confusion, and unfortunately Chestnut is able to get to that Frenzy Plant. It's going to be enough. So actually able to come back really strongly from 0 just a casual, I think because of that Nido King sacrifice, sorry. But going into game 3, the decisive game 3, we've got Castform coming in here doing a lot of neutral damage here. Going for that normal Weather Ball. And look, Chestnut is not a bulky Pokemon. Again, bulk is really important in this meta. And just for good measure, catching the Superpower into Charjabug. Actually, the Frenzy Plant. Either way, both moves resisted. And now swapping into that Blaziken, who only needs one Blaze Kick to KO Charjabug. Just going to let it go because at this point you can sort of bring in that Giraffe Rig, farm all the way down. You can choose to let the Blaze Kick come through, but actually, interesting. Not going for the charge move. Okay, we've got a full farm down there. Ton of energy on this Giraffe Rig. We're going to see that Samurott come back in, but now just going for that Psychic Fangs to get the defense debuff off. Switch locked at this point, so can't sort of get out of dodge yet. It looks like just going to go for straight Psychic Fangs as well, which when there's still there were still two shields in play, is probably the smarter play than going after the Thunderbolt, because you can already see how much damage is being packed onto this Samurott, and shielding up there just to keep Giraffe Rig around, and the simultaneous swap. Now Castform into Chestnut. Has to be scared of the Superpower. It was just the Frenzy Plant bait though. But Castform going to go for the full farm down. And now there's not that much health on the Samurott. So just going to farm all the way down as well. And able to get the KO there. Even if, I think you could have just gone for straight charge moves as well. And you would have been able to burn the first shield, get the move off. But wasn't necessary at all. Plus there was the Giraffe Rig in the back who only would have needed one more confusion. And would have been able to take it out as well. But GG's to OttoSaha. Again, really well played in the first and third. I think that sacrificing the Nido King... Why am I struggling so much to say it? I think sacrificing the Nido King in game 2 was just so much Pokemon lost in one quick go. And really does sort of speak to the strength of Samurott, even though Otto hasn't sort of got it on his team. But, regardless, able to play away from it. And we'll jump into round 2. We'll swap the teams over. Bada boom. Now 907 Fillin Kids has got a very, very different team here. We've got Seviper, Sandslash, Superior, Samurott, Normal Castform, and Dugong. So Confusion isn't going to be as strong as it was up against the previous team. Still relatively strong. Able to do some really nice damage up against Seviper. But that's actually it. Nothing else is taking super effective damage. And Seviper has access to Crunch, which it's not super likely to always get to because the confusions really do add up because Seviper is not very bulky. But, it's there. It's sort of the counterplay while also having the Samurott and some other Pokemon like Sandslash, who's got Night Slash, so it can also do big damage. So I think Giraffe Rig isn't as useful here as in the other ones. What does become a little bit more useful is that normal Castform, because now Dugong's running around. So you can do some good damage there. And all of these Pokemon can take neutral damage from this normal Castform. So sort of puts it in a very versatile position that can do quite well. I mean, you could also bring in, I think Charjabug is decent as well. You just have to be a little bit worried about that Sandslash. Sandslash can definitely add up a little bit of damage there. But look, I'm not the master battler. We're here to learn from Otto today. So let's jump into round 2 up against 907 Phil. And we've got the Dugong coming into the Giraffe Rig, actually. See, this is why you don't listen to me. Now, Giraffe Rig... And it's going to be a bit of a game of debuffs, where Giraffe Rig is going to be debuffing the defense from the Dugong, and Dugong is going to be debuffing the attack from the Giraffe Rig. So sort of just leveling each other out. Giraffe Rig is really not very bulky though, so taking a lot of damage there from the Icy Wind, but going up to the Thunderbolt and baiting actually does get the shield out. And now that the Psychic Fang debuff was in place, able to swap into the Blaziken. Now they've let Otto get a lot of energy here, going for the big Nuki Stone Edge, actually able to land it. Wow, and Samurott gone. That's huge. 907 Fillin Kids. I'm not sure what they can do here. That brings in the Seviper. At this point, Otto's still got both shields in tow. Can sort of comfortably burn the first one here. Go for the Blast Burn, sorry. And you can already see as well how much damage the counters are doing, even though it's resisted by the poison typing. Just because Seviper is not very bulky, by burning that last shield on Phil's side, is able to get the is able to survive and poison jab down, but Giraffe Rig just throws that Psychic Fangs to take it out, and now it's Dugong in the back. Dugong, it may be really bulky, but it is not going to live a single discharge when it's down at this health range, although the Icy Wind debuffs might help, but I think the writing's on the wall. Look, as soon as that Stone Edge went through on the Samurott, but Otto has now revealed his moveset, the Blast Burn Stone Edge. So we'll see how Phil reacts. We've got the Charge Bug into the Seviper in the first, in the lead. Discharge, again, really nice neutral damage, and Seviper not very bulky, so will do a relatively big amount of damage. Does get the shield there. At this point, I don't think Otto's too concerned about keeping the Charge Bug around because he's got that Giraffe Rig in the back. He's actually going to swap in, sort of expecting a bit of a swap out here, but no, looks like Phil wants to go up for that crunch, try and force a shield out of Otto before letting this Viper go. Doesn't get the defense debuff, but here comes that Samurott, and now going up for the Thunderbolt again, but baiting the Psychic Fangs. We'll see if we can get a back-to-back shield here, and we can. Second bait in a row, successful. At this point, I'm going to burn the shield because Giraffe Rig does have a little bit of energy about to come in. Going to just go straight Psychic Fangs again. I guess if you went after the Thunderbolt, there would be that opportunity for the next Hydro Cannon to come in, and confusioning all the way down does mean that Phil is going to be able to come in with something and get a little bit of farm, but before that farm is able to come through, Giraffe Rig able to get the defense debuff on. Giraffe Rig really showing its strength here, and I mean, I said it might not be great up against Phil's team, but evidently that is not the case at all. At this point, Blaziken is definitely going to be hurting from a Rock Weather Ball here. Actually, not too bad. It's able to get to the Blast Burn and just KO, and this is going to be GG's on game 2. We're still going to be going into game 3 of the round, and we've actually got Araquanid into the Sandslash. This is a really wacky matchup. I mean, Sandslash doesn't really have anything to do to you. There is the option of running Rock Tomb. Actually, yeah, and it is running Rock Tomb, so does do super effective damage there. Got the debuff as well, attack debuff, I think it is. But now Bubble Beam going in return. So actually, even though I was in my head, I've sort of got it as an Araquanid winning matchup, Sandslash has actually got a lot of play back at the Araquanid. But regardless, going for a Bubble Beam, slowly whittling it down. And at this point, Otto's just going to let it go. I mean, he's got Blaziken in the back. They can sort of just farm down. And look at the power of that Bubble Beam debuff, though. That's absolutely huge. Can almost farm all the way down, but the charge move is going to come through at the last minute. But Otto's going to let it come through and then get one tiny little bit of farm on Blaziken. One counter. But, you know, one counter can do a lot when a single Stone Edge can do so much to a Samurott. But now, Seviper coming in, looking like he's going up for the Blast Burn to try and do that, just nuke that Seviper away. Deciding against it after getting Poison Fang debuffed and bringing in the Charger Bug. Because I guess if it's the Samurott in the back, they're unlikely to swap out here. And goes for the Resisted X-Scissor. But at this point, you just need to go for 2 X-Scissors, or total, and you can take out the Seviper. It does get crunched there. No defense debuff, though. And now, if it is that Samurott in the back, then you can't get to a discharge before Samurott can get to and it is the Samurott. I don't think you can get to a discharge. And it looks like it was actually going to be a full farm down before discharge could even be got to. So it just goes for the X-Scissor to actually gets the shield. So Phil not up on his Charger Bug counts, it seems, potentially. Now, going to burn the last shield here. I think Blaziken is still in a little bit of a rough spot here because not going to be able to get to 2 Blast Burns before the Samurott is able to get to a second Hydro Cannon, and that single Hydro Cannon is all that Samurott is going to need to take this Blaziken out. So Phil actually taking that game 3, but Otto still coming away with the 2-1 result to take out round 2. So really well played there. And then we'll go into round 3 here against Winston the Champ, who's running sort of a more similar team to that round 2 team, but still with a couple of key differences. Also, not using the correct CPs, just running in 1 for everything. We've got the Dugong, Galvantula, Araquanid, normal cast form, Swoobat, and Donphan. Swoobat was a Pokemon that a lot of people in the very first 2 days were like, is this a Swoobat meta? Because I think it looks quite good on PvPoke. Got access to some really nice moves, but it's really squishy, whereas Giraffe Rig has slightly more bulk to it, so we'll be interested to see how that matchup sort of goes. But I mean, also, we've got a lot of things. Look, I slept on Giraffe Rig in the last round, and it turned out to be really good. I think this is another round that Giraffe Rig can sort of similarly come out and do a lot of good work, because there's nothing that it's doing super effective damage to. But its neutral ability to do big confusion damage, get the Psychic Fangs through, really nice. Well, also sort of, I'm seeing a fair bit of room for Charge Bug to have some play. So up against Dugong, Water type, Araquanid, Water type, really nice there. Swoobat with the Flying type, while also having the Psychic type as well. Normal cast form is doing super effective damage with the Rock Weather Balls. Donphan, a little bit scary. Galvantula, not very scary, but neither of you are very scary to each other. I think Galvantula gets to its debuffing moves a little bit quicker than you can sort of do anything. So I'd put my money on Galvantula from that fight. Not that I've never played out that matchup, so I'm not sure how it goes. But regardless, I think that Charger Bug, we might see the sort of same sort of core-ish of the Charger Bug Giraffe Blaziken sort of coming through again, running into this round 3. But let's jump in. Take a look at how Winston is going to approach it. Now, we've got the Blaziken coming into the Galvantula. This is a much better spot for Blaziken when it has Blaze Kick. Blast Burn being that little bit longer to get to puts it in a bit of a rougher spot, but still... actually going to go for the no shield. Is just the lunge. Brilliant call from Otto. And now farming up a ton of energy, but the Blast Burn caught on the Dugong. It will still do a fair amount of damage, but it's not what he was hoping for, I don't think. But able to get to a second Blast Burn on the Dugong. This would be enough to KO, so Winston sort of forced a shield if they want to keep their Dugong around. Swapping into the Araquanid, who will be able to soak up all of the energy from Dugong, or just farming all the way down. Will be debuffed along the way, but I don't think that Araquanid is known for big damage. Look, he's going to have to take one more, but then we'll be able to farm all the way down, have some energy ready to go. The switch timers are still halfway from being up, so we'll just have to live debuffed for a little bit. In comes the cast form. Just going to go for the lunge here. Oh, wait, was that lunge or was that bug buzz? Bug buzz, sorry, to do a little bit of damage there, not a huge amount. And now actually bringing in the Galvantula. Potentially unnecessary, just because Araquanid wasn't doing too much, but better use it here than against, cast form is not a great spot for the Galvantula to be in. Just going to no shield though. If this is a discharge, it will do a lot of damage, but it is just a lunge again, bringing it down to half health and going for the full farm down. This is actually putting Winston in a pretty rough spot, now having to face a normal Weather Ball. There's only one shield remaining on their side. Has to use it there, and now going to be able to get to another normal Weather Ball. This is really not great. Damage is adding up against Winston, and there's still all 3 Pokemon remaining on Otto's side. Not going to get to another one, but that cast form has a lot of energy now. Going to throw in the Blaziken, hoping to catch a move on there, but now instead Araquanid coming in. Still a shield, but it's going to be a little bit of a race here. I'm not sure how much that Rock Weather Ball is going to do, but it might do a little bit. Going for the Bubble Beam. I actually really like this play, reducing the damage of the next Rock Weather Ball that was about to come through. I think this might mean that Araquanid will be able to survive and be able to farm down the rest of that cast form. Really getting close there, and we are able to take it out in game 1. Really well played from Otto. Really nice identification of the Bubble Beam need. But really interesting coming in here with a Donphan. It looks like it is counter Donphan as opposed to Charm. It's got Mud Slap as well, but I wasn't seeing Mud sort of getting slapped around. But regardless, going to swap into the Araquanid to tank that first move. Second move coming in here. Araquanid is really bulky, doesn't care too much, but is going to add up over time. Cast form actually coming in now, and now going for the non-debuffed Bug Buzz, so this will do a little bit more damage than it did before. I bring it down to past half health, which is really nice for Araquanid, but at this point, it's sort of done its job. It wouldn't be able to get to another Bug Buzz before having to take another Weather Ball, so just Otto's going to let it go. Bringing the Blaziken, going to try and go for a full farm down. Wouldn't have been able to farm all the way, so actually going to go for the Blast Burn to sort of preserve the shields on Otto end. Or actually oh my god, gets the shield and then swaps into cast form, making the catch. A brilliant play, catching the Rock Weather Ball into that normal cast form, staying really nice and tanky here. The counter damage is coming through from the Donphan, but not before the normal Weather Ball can come through, forcing that last shield out of Donphan. At this point, you can shield up. The tackles are still doing a lot of damage from the cast form. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get to another Weather Ball here. We are not, but in comes the Araquanid in the back. You're going to just get one normal Weather Ball off before cast form would just be farmed down the rest of the way, and it is going to be up to us trying to get up to a Stone Edge here. Going to have to eat a Bubble Beam debuff, so it is going to be a question of whether Stone Edge is going to be enough to KO the Araquanid post debuff, and we're about to see in 3, 2, 1, ka-chow, and it is not quite enough. Can we get enough counter damage through? And we can get the counter damage needed to take the Araquanid out, meaning that Otto has taken out the first 2 games, taken out 2-0. Interesting going into game 3 though, we are going to get some Swoobat action, but we'll save that, put it in the back for a little bit longer, because now Donphan is coming in up against the Araquanid. This is sort of similar to like it is before, how Donphan's body slams are sort of adding up, but Araquanid is able to do a lot of damage along the way. Otto actually going for the Bubble Beam here, reducing the sort of spammy damage from the Donphan, while also sort of giving you a bit more time. I mean, Bubble Beam actually does a lot of damage to Donphan. Like, you can probably just go another another Bubble Beam here, and we'll be able to farm all the way down, tanking the Body Slam as well. But debuffs are really huge as well against spammy Pokemon, because it reduces their charge move damage by quite a bit, whereas fast move damage tends to not get affected quite as much. But able to get the clutch Bubble Beam off against the Galvantula, which could be absolutely huge. We'll see what he decides to bring in. He brings in the Blaziken. Would be able to tank a move, but going to go for the shield. Safe, and it was the discharge, so brilliant call from Otter, seeing this swap out into that Swoobat, but going to be able to counter swap into that normal cast form. Again, this is why Otto recognized that Rock is a really powerful typing. A lot of flying types, a lot of ice types, a lot of bug types running around in this meta, that rock damage is really going to be able to help you out with. Now, it does eat a Psychic Fangs, but we'll be able to get to one more Rock Weather Ball before being taken out here. And at this point, there is that one more shield remaining, so it takes it out there, and now it is going to be up to Blaziken in the back to take down a Confusion user. This is going to be an uphill battle, because this, Psychic Fangs is here, so you're going to reduce the defense of Blaziken even more, and yeah, unfortunately, he's going to lose that game 3, but regardless, Otto, again, clutching out the 2-1, and sort of safely losing that last battle, and still nice that we got to see some spice, or I mean, not spice action, I was going to say spice action from the Swoobat, but you know what I mean, it's fun to see a Swoobat out on the battlefield, but regardless, we are now in the finals, round 4, up against Lie to Me 02, who's running a team, oh my gosh, wait, Lie to Me actually putting in proper CPs. Hang on, round 2. Did round 2 do it? Oh no, okay. Fill-in Kids did also have correct CPs. Okay, Lie to Me, but also on a team correct CP. Running some very interesting Pokemon here that we have not seen yet. Running Chestnut, Luxray, Wigglytuff, Beedrill, Dugong, and Galvantula. Now, the Wigglytuff being here might sort of tweak up Otto's reason for bringing Nidoking in the first place. I know it got demolished by that Hydro Cannon earlier, but there is no Samurott on Lie to Me's team, which means maybe it's not going to be as traumatized. Can potentially do some really nice things up against that Wigglytuff. I'm not sure how confident Lie to Me is going to be in bringing the Wigglytuff out. Obviously, it really hard counters that Blaziken, and without Samurott, that is sort of like your main counter to Blaziken. I mean, the more I look at it, I've actually convinced myself back the other way, that you almost like, you kind of need to bring Wigglytuff as that counter to Blaziken, because like Galvantula does okay, Dugong doesn't do great, Beedrill, yeah, I mean, I guess, like, again, this is sort of a moveset question. Lie to Me doesn't know what moves that Blaziken is running. If it's the Blaze Kick and you have a little bit more spam, you end up doing a little bit better against the Galvantula, a little bit better against the Beedrill, a little bit better against the Chestnut. And like, again, this isn't like we're not dissing on Blast Burn here, because Blast Burn is one of the just best moves in the game. It just absolutely demolishes anything it touches. Everything has to be scared of Blast Burn. Blast Burn is the reason that Charizard was so scary in the Ember Cup just a couple months ago, because everything in the meta was scared of being hit by that Blast Burn with Wing Attack charging it up so quickly. It's a similar case here where the Blast Burn can do so much damage paired up with the counter damage that is also adding up onto pretty much everything as well. So with that said, I do feel like normal cast form is in a pretty good spot to perform up against a team that's got 2 bug types, and a relatively squishy Luxray, relatively squishy Chestnut, Dugong taking super effective from Rock as well. And Wigglytuff, just neutral damage, but stab neutral damage that comes out pretty quick from the normal cast form. But with that said, let's jump into the finals and close out this video. Take a look at Girafarig versus Chestnut, throwback to round 1, and a really great lead again. We'll see if Lie to Me plays out the same way and just going straight for the Frenzy Plant, getting a shield out of OttoSaha. Actually went for the Superpower. Yeah, that felt really quick, but really interesting attempt there. Like obviously you've got the normal typing as well as the psychic typing. So it's not like it's like super resisted or anything, but now able to get that debuff Psychic Fangs through before swapping out into Blaziken, and now going to counter all the way down. Is the Water Pulse, though, was hoping for the Icy Wind, so that is actually not great for Otto. Is now going to have to bring in potentially the Cast Form to tackle all the way down. Is going to have to go for a charge move if they didn't want to get Icy Wind debuffed, but the debuff is going to come through. You know, Cast Form can tank it just fine, but will be doing a little bit less damage now, and the switch timers are not even close to being up. So swapping into the Chestnut now has to really respect the superpowers, but even debuffed, Chestnut has to respect that as well. And oh my gosh, oh no, they've got Beedrill in the back. Beedrill is not going to appreciate this psychic damage at all. Getting that last shield out of Lie to Me, and only one confusion away from the Psychic Fangs. I will be able to shield up here, click on that Psychic Fangs and KO this Beedrill, and then almost just needs like that one last confusion to take out the Chestnut as well. I don't think Chestnut has got too much. Oh no, needed another one. Chestnut will be able to get a charge move off here. I don't think he's got the back-to-back. So I think one tackle. Oh no, two tackles, but yeah, is able to take out game one there against Lie to Me. And now bringing in that shiny Nidoking action up against Beedrill. This isn't a great matchup for it. It's still doing a nice chunk of damage with Sand Tomb because Beedrill has that poison typing, but it's not a great move, so, you know, doesn't do a whole lot. Gets the debuff though, and actually deciding to shield up, keep the Nidoking around, traumatized from losing Nidoking in that one-hit KO a little bit earlier. But the poison jabs are seriously adding up now. Now that the defense debuff has sort of come through, Nidoking is able to do so much damage to this Beedrill, shielding up that second Sand Tomb and actually just committing to the bit. Going to shield up the next drill run, and at this point I think would have been able to farm all the way down. Galvantula coming in, going to go for the Sand Tomb debuff again. Wouldn't be too surprised to see OttoSaha's deciding to swap out here, but actually just going to stay in and like doing so much damage as well with fast moves alone after that defense debuff, tanking the discharge as well. Oh my gosh, farming all the way down. Nidoking OP. This is actually wild. I don't think Lie to Me 02 was expecting the Nidoking at all. Still not bringing in their Pokemon in the back. Is it Luxray? Taking down the Beedrill, and it is actually the Wigglytuff. So a big poison jab damage. Not going to survive for too much longer, but is going to get a Sand Tomb debuff that is no longer able to be cleared because there are no more Pokemon on Lie to Me's side. So just going away. Actually swapping into the Draft Rig to try and catch a move, but not even necessary at this point. OttoSaha's just absolutely demolishing here, taking the Ice Beam on the chin, one confusion, and down it goes. OttoSaha's taken out, but we're not done yet because we've still got this battle here with Giraffe Rig into that Luxray. Is a Spark Luxray as opposed to the Snarl Luxray. Go to the Psychic Fangs, but going to have to take presumably a Psychic Fangs from the Luxray, opposing Luxray first instead. Now, Giraffe Rig has the benefit here of resisting the incoming Psychic Fangs while doing neutral damage with the ones being thrown back. Not able to farm all the way down, but would be able to tank another Psychic Fangs here. So pretty comfortable, very defense debuffed, and now just going to go for overtapped, not able to get the Psychic Fang debuff onto that Dugong, which could have actually been potentially important depending on what Lie to Me is packing in the back. Goes for the Icy Wind to bring Cast Form down to half health. These Rock Weather Balls aren't going to do as much damage now. Would have been really nice to have had that Psychic Fangs debuff, but didn't matter because they shielded up anyway. Going to burn the shield now, because you really do want to get to that next Rock Weather Ball. You don't really want to be relying on Nidoking to take down the Dugong, because Dugong is definitely favored to win that one 9 times out of 10. And now getting that last shield out of Dugong. Dugong farming up a lot of energy here. Otto getting another Weather Ball off, really debuffed at this point, so this won't be enough to KO. Almost actually though, but swapping out into Beedrill, which now lets the Nidoking swap out. There's still one shield in tow, but that Dugong is also packing some energy, so have to be really careful of a potential swap in. Gonna go straight for the Mega Horn though, trying to just completely destroy this Beedrill, and lands it huge, absolutely huge for the Nidoking here. At this point, I think you just sort of hope that you can survive potentially, or actually Cast Form. Oh no, not gonna be able to survive that. I was thinking like maybe you can try and survive the Beedrill, take it down, and have enough energy to try and throw a move onto the Dugong in the back, but Castform was so far away from the charge move that it wasn't going to be able to get there regardless. But with that, Otto taking out the tournament with a 4-0, really showing like the power of so many Pokemon. Normal Castform is that really neutral pick, versatile pick, access to the not only the stab normal weather ball, but also the rock weather ball, the double Balmon to hit that super effective damage up against all of the flyers and the bugs and the ice types as well. Blaziken doing a lot of work there with the counter damage. I don't think I was convinced by Blast Burn watching Otto's battles. I think that I'm probably on team Blaze Kick Stone Edge. Blast Burn really does help you shore up a lot of matchups when you can land it, but I feel like the sort of spam versatility sort of gives Blaziken a little bit more. Like I sort of liked watching it in the first round with that Blaze Kick. Even though Otto obviously beat the Blaze Kick Blaziken. I think I'm sort of a little bit maybe leaning towards the Blaze Kick Stone Edge. Girafarig, massive fan of that confusion damage. You saw against so many of these teams, they just weren't prepared to take on that confusion Girafarig, especially like the very first battle of the video where Girafarig was just demolishing, like almost Girafarig sweep, just taking it all out. But I think one of the other big things from this video that sort of becomes clear is that bulk. Again, bulk is really an important thing to have. Like Nidoking, it obviously did great in that sort of last round, but in that earlier matchup where a Samurott was able to just one-hit KO it from almost full health with a single Hydro Cannon, which it gets to Hydro Cannons really fast. That's a really quick one-hit KO, right? And obviously, like Otto caught the move onto Nidoking, so they didn't know they were throwing it there. But like, I feel like having that bulk really does give you a lot of room to move around. And so by having a lot of bulky Pokemon, Chargebug, Araquanid, normal Castform, even Girafarig a little bit to an extent, having a bit of bulk action sort of helps. It helps balance out things like Blaziken that are a little bit more of a shield hog, right? Like Blaziken, it takes a lot of damage from a lot of Pokemon. We'll put it that way. But these things that like, you sort of need a balance on every team of 3 that you bring. And to be able to do that, you sort of need a bit of balance on your team of 6. But with that said, a massive shout out to OttoSaha. Thank you for sharing these battles with all of us. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, especially the subscribe one. Show Otto some love in the comments down below as well. Because yeah, he's really a great battler from Australia. I'm pretty sure he's gone into April as the number 3 in Australia after some really nice tournament runs through the year. But yeah, thank you for watching. And of course, thank you to my patrons as always for being absolutely fantastic, lovely people. And yeah, thank you for watching. Not sure what the next video is going to be, but I will see you there regardless. Bye everyone.